The video that shook the entire fandom was less than 30 seconds long. No dramatic music, no polished editing, no rehearsed smiles. Just a dimly lit backstage hallway, a few scattered staff members, and one man standing completely still as if the world around him had been paused. That man was Dylan Wang, and he wasn't standing there for an event queue, not waiting for a manager, not preparing for an interview. He was waiting for someone. The unedited clip, leaked accidentally by a behind-the-scenes cameraman, captured a moment too raw to be ignored. The rest of the world didn't do it. The fans did. They saw it instantly. They recognized the tension in his posture, the way he kept checking the same direction, the slight press of his lips as if holding back a storm of emotion. They knew exactly who he was waiting for. Shen Yue. The hallway was quiet except for distant echoes from the main stage. Dylan stood near a pillar, wearing a black suit that looked sharper than usual because he wasn't smiling. He was thinking, deeply, restlessly, almost anxiously. His hands were clasped in front of him, then behind him, then in his pockets, then back out again. A rhythm of nervousness he didn't bother hiding. Why was he nervous? Why was he pacing? Why was he waiting there alone? The answers unfolded slowly as the clip continued. At one point, a staff member approached him, handing him a piece of paper. Dylan didn't even look at it. He nodded politely, took it, and kept his eyes fixed on the hallway corner, as if the entire world was reduced to one direction. One expectation, one person. When footsteps finally echoed from that corner, his posture shifted instantly. His shoulders straightened. His hands froze. His breath visibly steadied, as if grounding himself for whatever was about to happen. And then she appeared. Shen Yue stepped into the frame, wearing a soft cream-colored dress, her hair loosely curled, her expression calm but thoughtful. She was walking with her assistant, speaking quietly about something only half of the mic picked up. She was focused, composed, unaware of the eyes locked onto her, until she saw him. The moment her gaze landed on Dylan, her steps faltered, just enough for trained fans. A tiny pause, almost invisible to an untrained eye, but massive to anyone who understood their history, their tension, their unspoken bond. Her assistant noticed the sudden shift and slowed too, glancing at Dylan curiously, but Shen Yue gently waved for her to continue walking ahead. She approached him slowly, cautiously, like someone stepping toward a memory they weren't sure they were ready to face. The dim light cast a warm halo behind her, making her look softer, quieter, almost vulnerable. Dylan didn't move. He just watched her, eyes steady, expression uneasy, but not cold, never cold. There was something else, something far more complicated, woven into his stare. When she finally stood just a foot away from him, the air felt thick enough to touch. Neither of them spoke at first. It was as if both needed those few seconds to gather their breath, to silence the emotions pushing up from beneath months of distance and silence. The unedited clip didn't have enhanced audio, but the quiet was loud enough to feel. Finally, Shen Yue exhaled softly. "I didn't expect you to wait here," she said. Her voice was gentle but cautious, as if she wasn't sure whether this was a conversation or a confrontation. Dylan blinked slowly, as if steadying himself. "I know," he replied quietly, "but I needed to." She looked away briefly, her hand brushing the edge of her dress nervously. The tension between them wasn't anger. It wasn't resentment. It was the kind of emotional weight that comes from unsaid things, from feelings left unattended too long. "I thought we agreed," she whispered, "to keep everything simple." Dylan let out a breath that sounded almost like a quiet laugh, but it wasn't amusement. It was resignation. "We agreed because you were tired, not because I wanted simple." She closed her eyes for a second, absorbing his words. The clip caught everything. Their body language, their expressions, the way their voices trembled slightly. Nothing staged, nothing artificial. Just two people navigating a moment they weren't prepared for. Shen Yue finally looked up at him again. "Dylan, tonight is not the night. There are cameras everywhere." He shook his head. "I don't care about the cameras tonight." She swallowed. "But I do." Her honesty pierced the air like an unspoken truth finally being freed. She wasn't rejecting him. She wasn't pushing him away. She was protecting him, or herself, or both. "I don't know," she whispered. But they both knew. The crack in her voice, the tightness in his jaw, the stillness between them. It wasn't confusion. It was recognition. Dylan's eyes softened, and for a moment, the sternness melted into something incredibly vulnerable. "You always walk away before I can say anything," he said quietly. "And you always show up before I'm ready to talk," she replied. A faint smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. "Then maybe we're both doing something wrong." Shen Yue looked down at the floor, then back up at him. "Why were you waiting?" she finally asked. Her voice was almost a whisper, almost afraid of the answer. Dylan didn't hesitate. "Because I didn't want another night to end without us acknowledging what's still here." Shen Yue inhaled sharply. Her eyes glistened for a moment, barely, but undeniably. "And what exactly is here?" she asked, her voice trembling just slightly. Dylan's gaze locked onto hers, deep and unflinching. "You know what it is," he said. The camera caught the exact second her composure wavered, a soft flicker in her expression, as if something inside her had been shaken loose. She opened her mouth to respond, but couldn't. Words failed her. The silence between them grew heavy again. After a moment, Dylan took a slow step backward, giving her space. Not because he wanted distance, but because he respected the fear behind her eyes, the weight of expectations, the reality of the stage just meters away. "I won't push you," he said, "but I needed you to know. I waited because you still matter to me." Shen Yu's lips parted slightly, her breath unsteady. She didn't move closer, but she didn't step away either. She stayed. Her voice came out softer than before. "And what am I supposed to do with that, Dylan?" He shrugged gently. "Whatever you want. But don't pretend you didn't hear it." A tiny, involuntary laugh escaped her. A fragile sound, half-hearted and emotional. "You're impossible," she whispered. "And you're worth waiting for," he replied. Her eyes widened just slightly, the impact of his words landing deeper than she expected. For a moment, her hand lifted just a little, as if she wanted to reach for him. But she stopped herself right before her fingers moved fully. The hesitation said everything. She wasn't afraid of him. She wasn't running from him. She was running for what she felt, for what being near him did to her, from what she couldn't admit out loud. Dylan noticed the flicker of motion and smiled softly. "You don't have to say anything," he murmured. "Just don't walk away yet." Her breath caught again, and for the first time in months, she didn't